Hello, and welcome to your Urban Connections. Now, you know, I'm going to tell you all something. There's a election that takes place every 4 years for for the mayor. Uh, there are municipal elections, and that includes the election or re-election of a mayor. And so the last mayoral election, we had an incumbent who was running for election, and he had several opponents. That was in the primary. Now, after the primary, it was between the top two candidates. So the two remaining candidates for the general election was the incumbent mayor, and he was defeated by a young female who had no political experience, but was backed by a bunch of elite millionaires and other rich folks, and she won the mayor's seat. That was in 2022, November. Now, she took her seat in January of 2024. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, during the election season, the campaign season, you get an awful lot of mail from the various candidates. And in this particular election, one candidate stood out, and she's the candidate that I just referred to as being a young female with no political experience. However, her campaign was well funded, as I stated, by some millionaires and other rich folks in the city. Now, you can tell, and I say to people each election cycle, don't be fooled by slick, four color brochures and campaign materials that you receive from these candidates. Because these slick, four color, full page, and sometimes multi page campaign materials can be deceiving. So you have to do a couple of things that I suggest every election cycle that people do. Number one, don't fall for everybody that sends you a slick advertising brochure that is mailed to you in four colors, oftentimes multi pages, full of campaign promises that they either don't have the knowledge nor the experience to follow through on. So I want to tell you something. In the last mayoral election, which was, as I stated, in November, the primary, well, the general was in November, and here's the first campaign material that I received from the winner. And this is it. Now, I want you all to notice this. You see this? Now, every registered voter in the city of Wichita received one of these brochures. Four colors, four pages. Okay? You see that? Making all kinds of campaign promises. Now, see, what I tell you people is not only do you not fall for brochures like this from people with no experience, And the second thing I tell you to do is to look at the campaign finance reports. They're free. They're available to each and every one of you. And they will tell you an awful lot about what this candidate basically stands for. You simply look and see who is funding her campaign and what are they expecting in return for that funding. Now, that'll tell you an awful lot, ladies and gentlemen, and you won't make the mistakes that so many people often make. Now, so the woman in question here, the young woman, her name is Lilly Wu. She is the mayor. Now, I want to show you something here, and I want you guys to understand. I want to tell you a little bit about Ms. Wu. You see, Ms. Wu has been the mayor. She just finished her first term. I'm sorry, her first year of the term that she just won here in 2022. She took her seat, like I said, in January of 24. Now, this is Lilly Wu. Now, Lilly Wu ran on the campaign of, I'm going to just tell you something here, some of the things we talk about. Her primary platform was on public safety, what she considers as fire, police, okay, streets, sewers, and that kind of thing. Okay? Now, when you look at her brochure, she makes several statements. And first thing she does is she talks about restoring trust in City Hall. Okay? Now, she says here career politicians have left us with a record deficit, police vacancies, and petty games. We deserve better. I'm an outsider who will bring in new leadership, focusing on making sure that City Hall works for all of Wichita. I'll unify us behind fresh ideas and results over politics. Our best days are ahead. Now, I want to key in on something here. She says, we deserve better. I'm an outsider, funded by insiders. Okay, she didn't put that in there. Okay, but that's why you look at the campaign finance reports. But I will bring in new leadership focused on making sure City Hall works for all of Wichita. Okay? Now, that's just one segment of her campaign slogan and her campaign promises. Her opponent, the incumbent, had one that I know of ethical complaint filed against him in 4 years. Ms. Wu, who's been in office for 1 year and 1 week, has already had 2 ethical complaints filed against her. Okay? How's that working out for you? Now, here's what I want to get into. I want to tell you about this mayor. You know, I've been in politics for a very long time, or following politics, we'll say. And I've called city halls in several different cities, and I've spoken with police chiefs, I've spoken with mayors, I've spoken with city managers from cities that I don't even pay taxes in, I don't live in, I don't vote in. But when I try to call Lilly Wu, the mayor of a city that I live in, I vote in, I pay taxes in, I'm one of her constituents, I'm told that Lilly Wu does not take phone calls at City Hall. I am told that I have to speak with somebody by the name of Sarah. Well, I don't know who the hell Sarah is, but I do know this. Sarah was never voted for as mayor. I know this. Sarah cannot provide me with the answer to the questions that I have for Mayor Lilly Wu. So don't ask me or don't tell me that I can't speak to Lilly Wu, the person that I am her constituent, the person whose salary I pay with my tax dollars. I can't speak to her, but I can speak to Sarah. You know, something's not right with this picture. And she wants you to believe, as she states here, restoring trust in City Hall. Is that your idea of restoring trust, Mayor Wu? You're not available for your constituents to talk to you in City Hall? The people that pay your salary, Mayor Wu? Come on, Mayor Wu. Now, so let's get down to another issue. And this basically is the basis for my story. But by the way, I want to say one thing to you. You know, as I said, during the campaign season, you get a lot of campaign materials. And I want you to understand why I saved this brochure. Now, this brochure I received in 2022. We're in January 24. But you know why I saved this? Because I knew that with my knowledge of how politicians work and don't work, I knew there would come a time when I would have to refer to this beautiful, slick, four-color, four-page brochure from Lilly Wu. I knew it. Now, she's been in office for 1 year. And this is not the first time that I have found reason to use and refer to that brochure. But on this last episode, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, this last episode, I couldn't stand it anymore. I could no longer refuse to bring this brochure to the attention of the voters in Wichita. Because that's the reason that many of you voted for her. It wasn't because she had any experience. After all, she was a TV reporter for 12 years with no political experience, even as a precinct committee person. And that's where most people start out in politics. Okay? But not Lilly Wu. You see, she was recruited. She was handpicked because of the fact that she was someone that her supporters, the rich, elite, millionaires, and billionaires, okay, could control. So now let's get into this. So she also is now, I want you to remember, I'm going to go back to this. She says that she will bring leadership focused on making sure City Hall works for all of Wichita. So now I want to introduce you to another woman. Okay? And I'll show you what this is all about. This woman is a community activist in the city of Wichita, has been for a number of years. Her name is Mary Dean. Now, on February the 13th of 2024, almost a year ago, just short of a year ago, Mary Dean approached the Wichita City Council. And the mayor of the city council is, well, the mayor of the Wichita is Lilly Wu. So Mary Dean approached the council with an idea that she had and a request that she had for the council. And here is the request. The request was presented during Tuesday's council meeting by local activist Mary Dean, who said the commission could play a crucial role in addressing systemic disparities that have impacted the Black community, and it would foster a more equitable future for all residents. She said similar commissions have been created had been created or were under consideration in many cities around the country, including and among those Kansas City, St. Louis, Boston, Sacramento, Los Angeles, and several other cities. Dean said the commission would address issues with Black economics and the wealth gap between white and Black residents, criminal justice, education, and housing, among others. She said reparations will be a measure to redress violations of human rights by providing a range of material and symbolic benefits to the Black community. Dean said a thorough examination of the need for reparations will contribute to a more inclusive and just society, promoting unity and understanding among the city's diverse population. Now, at that point, Councilmember Brendan Johnson, who's been on the council for going into his 7th year, Councilmember Brendan Johnson said the request from Mary Dean would be submitted to the city's legal department for review, and then it will be presented to the city council for discussion. That sounded fine with Mary Dean. Okay? She understood that. There was a process that this request had to go through. Now, after Brandon Johnson made that statement, none of the other council members nor the mayor rejected that, said that was not the proper procedure. None of them spoke against his comments. It was accepted by every member of the council, including Mayor Wu, that would be the process that her request would go through. Now, that was February. Mary Dean once again approached the council on June and stated that her request of February 13th had been over 60 days since, with no response from the city council. She wanted to know what the heck was going on. Was it being considered or was it not being considered? Was it moving through the proper channels? Had it gone to the legal department? And if so, why wasn't it being placed on the agenda to be discussed by the city council? Mary Dean stated that if you need any more understanding on what the areas are that she is talking about when it comes to injustice against Black people, she stated, would you like some examples? Councilmember Hoheisel, who is Mary Dean's counsel, he represents her district, stated that he would make sure to send the rest of the council members all of the information that she has sent to him so far, so they understand the scope of what she's talking about and the process she is hoping will happen. Mary Dean stated the reason that there needs to be a commission in Wichita is because Black economics in the wealth gap. She stated that median household income for whites is $67,956, and for Blacks, $37,019. Stated this information was gathered from a research company. Stated racial and ethnic disparities in prisons reveal that Black Kansas residents are 6 times more likely to be imprisoned than white residents. And she goes on with various reasons as to why she feels, and she is of the opinion, that a commission to study, didn't say grant, to study reparations was appropriate. Okay? Now let's move forward. Again, on January, I'm sorry, there was another meeting where Ms. Dean went before the council to ask what was the delay. Why were they what was the holdup? And she didn't get a justifiable answer. So now we bring in the newly elected mayor, here that I want to show you. Bring her back, Miss Lilly Wu. Now, Mrs. Wu, who, as I just told you, had just completed her first year in office. Okay? On January the 2nd of 2024, this woman right here, Lilly Wu, sent an email to Mary Dean. And in her email, Lilly Wu stated that she was against creating a commission to study reparations for the city's Black residents, something a city activist has been pushing since 2023. That's Mary Dean. Now, the activist Mary Dean received a letter from Wu that was dated January the 2nd, saying she didn't support local reparations, didn't support a local reparations ordinance, and that reparations should be handled at the federal level. Now, I myself know of several committees that are doing studies on reparations in various cities across this country. And none of them come from the federal government. They're all within cities in these various states. Now, Ms. Dean, having received this letter and read what the mayor had to say, then filed an ethics complaint against Lilly Wu, the mayor. And here's what she had to say. As a public servant, Mayor Wu holds an ethical obligation to actively listen to and address the concerns of all of her constituents. Remember, Ms. Wu, when you said that what you wanted to do when you were campaigning was to focus on making sure City Hall works for all of Wichita. It's right here in your campaign brochure, Ms. Wu. She says, Mary Dean says, particularly those from historically marginalized and oppressed communities. The complaint reads, now, in her letter to Ms. Dean, Wu said she had given the idea of reparations considerable thought and prayer. Lilly Wu. This issue is extremely complex and potentially divisive, the letter reads. I also believe it presents the risk of undermining the achievements and resilience of our Black American community. Really? Really, Lilly Wu? Dean called the mayor's response insulting. Insulting not only to Mary Dean, but insulting to the intelligence of every African American in the city. Mayor Wu, I have been patient every month trying to do the right thing and hoping that the mayor would do the right thing for the people that she came into the community to ask for their support to vote for her, Mary Dean said in an interview with the Eagle. Wu's letter to Dean acknowledges seeing her at an event held by the Wichita African American Council of Elders to celebrate Kwanzaa. While reflecting on the past year, I'm reminded of the first principle of Kwanzaa, the letter said, as our state's first Asian American mayor and the first woman elected to serve a full term as Wichita mayor. And let me just stop and tell you right here, that is not correct, Mayor Wu. That is not true. One part of this is true. You are the first Asian mayor, female mayor. But the first woman that was elected to the Wichita City Council, I'm sorry, elected as the mayor of Wichita, was Elma Broadfoot. And Elma Broadfoot did serve a full term from 1993 to 1997. So I'm sorry to rain on your parade. But there again, you're not being honest with your constituents and with the public, and deceiving and disrespectful to Elma Broadfoot. Now, Mayor says, I deeply understand the importance of fair and impartial representation. Our community voices and perspective on cultural diversity matter and help foster community dialogue on how to live together in unity. Yeah. And she goes on. While our city remains hamstrung by a significant $22 million budget deficit. Now, Dean's ordinance proposal seeks to create a commission to study reparations for the city's Black resident and harms against the city's Black residents, such as redlining. Other Midwest cities have recently established similar commissions, including Tulsa. Okay? This is the second complaint to be filed against Wu in recent months, in the last 90 days. Now, here's what I want to say. This Wu, I'm a Wichita native. I've been here all my life. Redlining is just one issue. There's been systemic racism in this city ever since the day that I was born. It continues right through today. But yet you want to tell us that reparations have the potential to divide this city. We're already divided, Mayor Wu. And I want to say one thing to you, Mayor Wu. You need to do a little history lesson. You need to learn the history of Black people, African Americans, doing the legwork, during the civil rights struggle, to make it possible for you and your family to even be in this city, let alone this country. You also need to do a little history to find out how your Asian brothers and sisters have come to that conclusion already. You need to maybe talk to them to find out who made it possible for you to be here. Who made it possible for you to be elected? You spend an awful lot of time in the Black community to seek out, solicit, and recruit African Americans to vote for you. Some of them did. Some of them did not. But those that did and those that did not are taxpayers. They are constituents of yours, whether they voted for you or whether they didn't. They pay your salary, whether you want to believe it or not. They are entitled to what you promised in this four-color slick brochure to make sure that City Hall works for all of Wichita. So you don't have the authority to circumvent what Brendan Johnson said was the process for how this request will be handled. You don't have that authority. You have overstepped your bounds. You are guilty of ethics violations here. It's out there for all to see. This is not like the firefighters, where everything was done behind four walls. Your letter, which was emailed to Mary Dean, insulted the intelligence of every African American in this city. And you, Lilly Wu, owes an apology to every single one of us. We expect it. We're entitled to it because you want to be in a position to make all of the decisions without involving City Hall and the council members under you. You basically have disrespected them because you didn't give them an opportunity to voice their opinion. And their opinion might be totally different than yours. You don't get to make choices on what items appear on the agenda based on what you lack and what you don't lack. Mayor Wu, okay? So, Lilly Wu, I have reached out to you, or attempted to reach out to you, at City Hall. I was told that you didn't take phone calls at City Hall. I reached out to KTV last week when you were there doing your weekly show. And I left a message with the newsroom with my name, phone number, and a way for you to contact me. I have not heard from you. Okay? I instructed them once you finish your interview to pass along to you my information. I've not heard from you, Lilly Wu. Now, I'm hoping that you'll see this podcast. And you have my number. And you have my name. And my name is attached to this podcast. I would love to talk with you. Not only about the reparations, but about your first year in office as the mayor, Lilly. Because, trust me, I'm not like Channel 10. I don't want to do a friendly interview. I want to do a political interview where we talk about serious issues, not on what entertainment is coming to town next week, or what entertainment venues that you've been to, and not about your appearance at the Kwanzaa event. See, as Black folks, some of us are about real issues that affect our pocketbooks, that affects our daily lives. We can appreciate your dedication to public safety, crime, streets, which I will tell you, in my area, and I don't live in District 1. Not all of us live in District 1, Lilly Wu. But the streets that I drive up and down on a regular basis, and like I said, they're not all in District 1, they could use a little bit more of your attention. Okay? So, Lilly, I'm looking forward to your second year. And I hope, and I can only hope, that it goes better than your first year. Okay? Contact me, Lilly. I'll be waiting. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my show for tonight. And thank you very much for watching. And if you have any comments, please leave those in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts on this show and this podcast overall. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time.